I'm a wallflower, so I stopped talking to people. I was a student who only teachers knew by name.
Like, it seemed like they gave up on me, and like that was really hard for me.
Not a lot of the teachers care really, because if you're doing bad or something, like my freshman year, I had a hard time attending school because I was suffering from severe depression and stuff like that. But a lot of my teachers didn't know, they didn't care. They just knew I wasn't going to school.
Why go to school if no one sees you?
I am transgender. When I was 10, we were starting to see the gender difference and everything, and people started making fun of me, and I started getting the words dyke and faggot and everything. And it got to be so bad, the last month of my 5th grade year, my mom pulled me out and switched me to a different elementary school. Sophomore year, I became depressed and suicidal. I was suicidal for 2.5 years. I don't know why I never killed myself, but now I see the day that I'm not suicidal anymore. Thurston High School is very supportive and accepting, and I have found like teacher allies.
In middle school, you know, I fell into the wrong crowd, and I didn't feel like I fit in very well, and I didn't feel safe when I was at school. I didn't feel like I should be there. I didn't feel like that was where I needed to be. I did things I'm not particularly proud of today, and a lot of my friends don't know about it, and I'm a silly girl. I'm getting emotional. People wouldn't really particularly know, if you know me today, that I was pretty severely depressed in middle school. Sorry. I think the reason things are so different is because I feel like I really belong now. I'm involved and I feel wanted and important, and leadership and cabaret are just great. Cabaret, it's like a family. We're sisters in leadership. I get a lot of say in what goes on in my school, and I think that's really, really important, and it's something I care about a lot.
One thing that may be a little bit different in my family is I have 2 younger brothers, both of which were adopted. My middle brother suffers from something called Asperger's. He looks as if he can fit right in with any crowd, and unfortunately, people then expect him to. What happens when he just can't grasp the math problem? He just doesn't understand the rules of the game, or he can't fathom something as simple as how I'm making someone else feel when I talk to them. And that's the hard part. I'm not someone that can speak on behalf of everyone with disabilities. I'm not claiming to do that. But I can speak as the brother of someone who definitely deserves to be treated with kindness and respect and love. And I can speak as someone who hates to hear the word retard spread throughout the halls.
One of the hardest things I think, though, is sometimes the stress that comes from being involved with so much, where you get to the point where you're like, why am I doing so much? And you come home and you're tired and you're angry and you don't understand why sometimes. Last year, very few people know this, but at my sophomore year, I had a lot of difficulties, and I had times where I just didn't want to be at home and I didn't want to be at school. And so there was that phase where I didn't really know what to do. And luckily, with the help of my counselor and stuff, I got myself back on track pretty quickly. And I always keep that in mind whenever I start to forget why I'm doing something or when it gets hard.
I have a past. I was a victim of a violent crime, and that made me struggle a lot with a lot of different things. I struggled with depression for about 2 years. A lot of things that helped me is the staff at Springfield, like Miss G and Tana, and everybody there is so supportive. I love that school. I love that about that school, but Also, I love the studio, which is one of the after-school programs, and it's part of the AMP program, which is the after-school Miller program, and there's a lot of different things, but my thing is singing. I love singing, I love writing music, recording it, and that's what I like to do. That's my passion. It helps me get a lot of anger out and frustration from the past.
Growing up in poverty, in my terms, and low-income housing to my grandma's spare bedroom. That's how things started for me. And with the struggles that just come with that off the bat, being involved in a little town where everybody has something to prove, you had to choose a side. And I did. And it was a lose-lose for me and people who were around me. I was turning into somebody I wasn't, via getting tattoos, via committing crimes, and being somebody I wasn't. It took some love from people who I barely knew, which is now my foster family, the Johnsons. And I never knew what that felt like, to have a steady home, to always know I have a place to come home to and I could rest, and I could relax, and lay my head down knowing I was gonna wake up in the same spot where I went to bed. Or to be able to go to school and have the support. Miss G, the beautiful Miss G. She's, as well as all the Springfield staff, just helped me throughout that. I came back and I found myself. I realized who I am. When I got to Springfield, I realized that people have open arms if you're willing to open yours too.
I grew up pretty poor. Like, I went to an elementary school where basically you would only see a couple little Latinos here and there. My kindergarten year was the hardest because I just came from Othello, Washington. That's where I was born. I come in like barely knowing any English, even though I was born in the US. And like all the kids treated me differently. Like I was basically like a little spectator, little loner, isolated from everybody else. My teacher, I don't know whether she was racist or not, she treated me a lot different than anybody else. She couldn't pronounce my name. She called me Johanna and this, and eventually she changed my name to Johnny, and that's what I go by now. Through when I was a little kid with those stereotypes, it hung me down and I grew in hate. By the end of my freshman year, he got convicted of a crime and now is facing 18 years in prison. And I remember like a couple weeks after that happened, my mom crying, tearing down, and I hate seeing my mom cry. It really got to me. Seeing her tears really, I don't know, got to me. She's like, where are you gonna end up? Are you gonna end up on the ground or are you gonna end up in prison like your brothers? And I just didn't know what to say. I was just stunned. I was like, I didn't know what to do. So, like, sorry, getting to me. But like I started thinking, I started writing, I started really getting to poems. And I took a class later on, like, that helped me for Latinos of poems. And I took out my pain there. And I thought about it, like, where am I gonna end up for real? Am I ever gonna go to college? Am I gonna be the first one to go to college in my family? And well, right now I'm just trying to find myself, you know, trying to join clubs, trying to be all I can be. Not the army, but yeah, well, that's me.
Springfield High School really helps the students. I think they got great staff. They're always, like Mrs. Espinosa, Ms. G, they always want, you know, people to do better. Nancy Golden, she's a great superintendent. She actually sent me a card once thanking me for being the mariachi and telling me that I'm doing good.
What keeps me at school, what keeps me engaged in school is being involved and knowing that people there really do care about you.
I sang with Michael Kidd's wife, and that was a great thing, and it's good to be involved like that because I think that's what makes the students want to come back, because they can see that somebody really does care for them.
I think that's one of the most important things, is having someone there for you to help you and guide you along your way.
But I know teachers are the main thing, because I never wanted to go to school. I had bad attendance because of the bullying. I became sick a lot. Like the bullying got me sick, so I didn't go to school. And I know sophomore year, Miss Schwab is actually my lifesaver. Miss Schwab turned my life around. I remember this one day, I wrote something suggestive in my journal about suicide, and she came after school and she said, "Can you stay after class?" I'm like, okay. I didn't know what she wanted. And she just comes up to me, she gives me this big hug. I'm like, okay, this is cool. And it's like 10 minutes later, I'm like, really now? I'm like, how much longer are we gonna hug here? And I'm like, I think she's wearing musk. And I'm like, I think I'm dying here. And actually that moment actually saved my life. Miss Schwab, in that moment, that seemed like hours, she made me realize that people at school cared. I know my family cares, but I need somebody at school to know that they care about me. And that moment made me realize that I should be there and I shouldn't not go to school because of the bullying, that I should be able to handle the bullying, because I know I have one teacher that cares.
You know, talk to your teachers and to your staff, and really help them understand how much students really appreciate the fact that they're there.
Just to listen. To have an adult, one adult, to listen to you, or multiple, man, that means wonders.